Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Today we're going to walk through one of the most important parts of mobile reliability, client-side network monitoring. If you've ever debugged a slow screen, a stuck loading spinner, or a mystery user complaint about the app not working, this session is going to feel very familiar. In this session, I'm going to show you how Embrace helps you understand what's really happening with your app's network calls from the perspective of the device, not the backend logs. Here's the thing about mobile networking. Your app can fail in so many ways before the request ever reaches your backend. Maybe the device loses signal, maybe the Wi-Fi is unstable. Maybe your retry logic fires too aggressively. Maybe an API requires auth your app forgot to send. Or maybe the backend is down. But traditional backend monitoring can't see any of that. And users don't care whether the server or the phone is to blame. They just see a broken app.
All right, let's talk about what we'll cover today. You'll learn what metrics matter most on the client, how to set user-focused alerts, when end-to-end visibility is crucial, and where backend-only monitoring falls short.
We now move on to the actual demo inside Embrace using the Embrace Outdoors Sandbox app. All right, we're in the Embrace dashboard under Network Monitoring. For this walkthrough, we're going to focus on one endpoint, a real API call from our Sandbox app, which is part of the National Park Service's free API that's available. This is perfect because it demonstrates almost every kind of client-side issue you might encounter. Connection errors, 400s, 500s, and even long timeouts. On this page, Embrace automatically breaks down how many total calls were made, how many succeeded, how many failed, and what type of failures they were. In this case, we've got around 32,000 total calls, and the majority of them ran into trouble. That's by design. Let's break that down. The first thing that jumps out at me here is 10,000 connection errors. That's massive. This is a great example of something backend tools won't ever show you. A connection error means the request never reached the server. If users aren't opening the app in poor network conditions, Embrace immediately captures that. Backend logs won't, because your server never sees these attempts. This is why client-side monitoring matters. It means you can catch offline scenarios, you can catch DNS failures, you can catch SSL failures, you can catch airplane mode behavior, catch flaky Wi-Fi proxies, all from the device's point of view. Next up, we have around 5,400 errors, specifically 403 forbidden in this example. In a real-world scenario, this usually means invalid credentials, missing auth tokens, incorrect parameters, or the request format doesn't match what the API expects. This type of failure is 100% the mobile app's responsibility. And again, Embrace surfaces this immediately. If your app changes how it builds a request between versions, you would see a spike in 400 errors in minutes. And here we have 851 500 errors. These are server-side failures. And this is where Embrace's value is in making it obvious if it's a backend issue, or is it your app making bad requests, or are the users offline? In this one screen, we can clearly distinguish all three. Backend-only monitoring can't do that. Now, let's take a look at these durations. Most of these network calls last a little over 1 minute before failing. That's almost certainly a client-side timeout. If your mobile timeout is 60 seconds, but your backend timeout is 30 seconds, Embrace helps you spot that mismatch instantly. And you can show how your user experiences degrade when the app waits too long, or retries too aggressively, or keeps firing a request that will never succeed. This is super common in mobile apps. Now let's take a look at these tabs. In this particular example, the All tab is the number of times that the API endpoint was called, and followed by the amount of calls that were successful, the 400, the 500 errors. You can filter through all of them and seeing your connection errors. Let's click into the Connection Errors tab. If users are opening the app underground, losing signal, switching between networks, Embrace is the only tool that captures that. And let's click into the 403 tab. This gives us live examples of where our app is sending invalid requests. Each of these links to real user sessions. Let's go ahead and drill into one of these network calls here. In the 403 tab, I go ahead and click on a specific network call. This brings me to the user timeline where I'm able to see everything that happened within a user session or multiple sessions that are stitched together. If I go down and I find where this network call was made, we're looking for this 403 forbidden call that was made. I'm able to see the date, the duration, end time, the bytes in, bytes out, category, and I'm also able to see the specific trace parent for it as well. This is the kind of context that makes debugging so much faster. You can jump straight into the session to see all this information, whether the app retried, what error message the user saw, and if the user abandoned the screen afterwards. This is the heart of client-side debugging. Alright, now that we've seen how Embrace surfaces network failures at the endpoint level, let's wrap up by creating a practical, user-focused alert. This is one of the easiest and most valuable things you can do at Embrace, and it's a huge part of staying proactive instead of reactive with your mobile application. I'll head over to the alert section. This is where you can monitor the metrics that actually matter to users. Things like 400 error rates, connection failures, or latency spikes. Let's create a new alert. We'll choose a network alert type since we're monitoring the API v1 Parks endpoint. Embrace gives you several options here, but the network error rate alert always works perfectly for this case. 400 errors greater than 2% of sessions over a 5-minute window. For the threshold, I'm going to set something user-focused. Instead of alerting on raw error counts, we'll alert when more than 2% of sessions experience a 400 error on this endpoint within 5 minutes. This keeps alerts meaningful and reduces noise. And of course, we can notify our team directly in Slack so that engineers see it right away. You can also use email or webhooks depending on your workflow. Click Save, and that's it. We've now created a proactive alert that will fire the moment users start experiencing real network problems, not hours later when support tickets come in. Traditionally, most teams alert on backend errors, but mobile teams specifically should alert on the user experience, retries, latency spikes, connection failures, because these affect real users immediately. When we talk about useful alerts, we can think of 400 errors reaching above a 2% threshold of sessions, connection errors greater than 10% of sessions, P95 latency greater than 3 seconds, a sudden spike in 503s. The point is to align your alerts with human experience, not server volume. Backend-only tools miss timeouts, connection issues, offline scenarios, DNS failures, SSL errors, mobile-specific retries, bad request formatting, network transitions. This sandbox example shows all of these gaps in one place, and Embrace brings them all together. Using the network tools available in Embrace, we come away with a couple of key takeaways. They allow you to monitor what users feel. Alerts should be UX focused. Always correlate client and server. Use user sessions for root cause. Backend monitoring isn't enough. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Try these tools in your own app or in the Embrace sandbox and see how much clarity client-side network monitoring can unlock for you.